I've had the opportunity to spend over $30 million with Google Ads alone in the last 5 years, and I've learned a lot during the process. But in this video, I want to break down all of my learnings that I've learned so far to give you 7 major lessons which helped me scale to this level, and hopefully this helps you scale your e-commerce brand to the next level as well. But with that, lesson number 1, you cannot outsmart the system. So many e-commerce brands I still speak with today, they try to implement some fancy ad strategies. They try to go super deep into segmentation of their products to outsmart the system. But reality is you cannot do that. What you need to instead be focused on doing is you need to be focused on working with the system to truly scale your e-commerce brand with Google Ads. Now, to speak in terms of strategy, a very easy and straightforward strategy you could be implementing includes focusing on things like the bids and budgets, where that's more automated while using target ROAS or target CPA values, but then having maybe 20% of your approach rather be just for manual bidding based campaigns. Not only will this allow your strategy to become more automated and just more simple in general, but it will also help you direct your approach and direct your strategy based on what actually matters. But this brings me to lesson 2, which was very important for me, and that was perceived value of your product is everything. And the reality is, if the customer truly believes that your product has high perceived value, no price point or no offer will stop them from purchasing your product, because the reality is they need to feel like they're winning. And I have a perfect example for this. I mean, back in the day, about 4 to 5 years ago, one of my major winning products for my own e-commerce brand was a weed eater. Basically, this is a product which eats up all of the weeds in your garden and just completely gets rid of them. And this was actually the exact product I was selling for a little bit of a higher price, around $150. Now, the main reason why I was able to sell this product, this simple product, for $150 was because of the approach I took, which was very similar to Sarah's Pet Store, which they're implementing here. I noticed that majority of the brands during that time had very simple approaches where they didn't put too much effort into their product images. It was just a plain white background like these ones right here. That's all that was back in during that time when this was a winner for me. So I came in with the approach of having a high perceived value, and right off the bat I knew that if I wanted to improve my perceived value, I couldn't do it by just having the lowest price, nor did I even want to do that, because to be honest, price wars are not for me. And I didn't really want to just compete on having reviews, because majority of the brands even back in the day had reviews as well. So instead, I took the approach of having a better, higher quality product image, and this alone helped improve my perceived value drastically. It took my product, which I would have ended up having to sell for maybe $80 or maybe $100 to be the average of my competitors, and I was able to add $50 on top of it and still make this a best-selling product for me. Because I mean, you can just see right off the bat, this product has much higher perceived value in general compared to this product right here, compared to this one. And it doesn't even matter if this one has more features or this one has more features. You need to give them something attractive to look at and then eventually to interact with. But this now brings me to lesson 3, which is other ad channels can expedite your scale with Google Ads. Now, Google is a search-based platform. It needs other supporting platforms or other supporting data to consistently find your ideal audience and to consistently get you sales. And because of that, you need to have some supporting avenues going on in the background, maybe organic SEO, maybe Facebook ads, TikTok, whatever it is, even if they're unprofitable. Because keep in mind, one of the main strategies you can use, which a lot of the clients we work with also use, is be unprofitable on Facebook or be break even on Facebook, but generate that traffic, generate that volume, and so that Google can come in the background to save the day, to get sales via retargeting, and to also grow with the data coming in. It's one of the best strategies you can be implementing. But this brings me to lesson number 4, which is only cold traffic is equal to a bad approach. Now, e-commerce brands just for some reason want to focus on only cold traffic. They hate it when we try to run a brand search campaign going after their .com brand name. But the reality is a good approach implements both retargeting as well as cold traffic. And in the beginning, it could even be like 60% retargeting, 40% cold traffic. This is because the retargeting traffic is what Google uses to become smarter, to get more of the customers who will potentially purchase purchase from your brand. You don't want to just disregard it completely. And in fact, we do recommend that you spend 80% of your budget towards cold traffic eventually once you're more in the scaling phase, and 20% of your traffic should be for retargeting purposes. This really helps keep things healthy and make sure that your brand can consistently grow, again, with getting both retargeting as well as cold traffic. But lesson number 5 here, your scale actually starts with the product feed. Now, I understand, again, it's very exciting to strategize around your campaigns, around clicking buttons to start getting that momentum, but sadly, that's not the place where scale truly begins. You want to think of your product feed and your backend as the foundational pillars of your Google Ads account. If you don't have strong foundational pillars, imagine a chair. If the 4 pieces, the 4 legs of a chair are weak, what's going to happen is that chair is eventually going to break when there's too much pressure applied to it. In this case, the pillars, the actual legs of the chair, are the foundational things you do in the backend: conversion tracking, product feed, your backend optimizations. And the pressure that you put on this chair is the ad spend. So the more pressure you put on here, meaning the more money you start spending, the bigger and bigger the pressure gets until eventually things fall apart. So to prevent this from happening, you need to always be starting with the product feed approach and starting there first and making your way up, because without that, you're not going to have a strong foundation, and without a strong foundation, scale is not going to be able to be reached to the maximum possible potential. But lesson number 6, automation plus manual is the best approach. Now, times are very exciting again with Google Ads because there's so much automation going on. The scripts that you can use, performance max campaigns, demand gen, etc., and just all the smart bidding based campaigns have made people go crazy. This is because e-commerce brands no longer want to use their head. They don't want to do any types of manual labor work. They would rather save on the agency cost, on the media buyer cost, or the freelancer cost to just put that money back into the ad side of things. Well, reality is you need to kind of be still in the trenches when it comes to your Google Ads accounts, and Google still prefers it if you do have some sort of manual approaches going on in the background. You don't want to just rely on Google's algorithm fully, because more often than not, this can actually end up destroying your brand long term. But final lesson, search impression share and click share focus is the way to go from now on. Now, what I mean by this is you want to forget ROAS, you want to forget your cost per acquisition, your cost per link click, forget all those things for a second. You need to understand that these metrics, which I just mentioned, these are secondary metrics. You don't just directly go in and improve your ROAS or just improve your cost per acquisition. Something has to be happening in the back end for that to even take place in the first place. So what that essentially means is you only drive these maybe when you get a larger portion of your target audience to even see your ads, and then a large portion of that audience to even click on your ads. This is where the search impression share and click share focus comes in. Search impression share is basically a metric you can find on your Google dashboard, which tells you how many impressions your ads are actually getting versus what's available in the market. And click share is the same thing, but in terms of clicks. Your main focus should be improving these 2 metrics so your ads can not only be seen more often by your target audience, but they can also be clicked more often. And when you make sure your feed is strong, when you apply all of these other previous lessons, that's when you actually get a high quality audience clicking on your ad, interacting with it, and then doing further things from here. This is one of the biggest things we are not doing for the brands we work with under my agency, Euro Marketing, which again, if your brand does $1 million a year or more and you want to scale further with Google Ads, go onto my website at euromarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see how we can essentially work together and make that happen. But check out this video right here on a case study I did on a brand we blew up to multi 7 figures following these 7 lessons.